One. So now we have here Jim McCarty from Louisville, Kentucky. Welcome. Hello, Jim.
Good evening for you, or afternoon. Good morning for me.
So we have now the third time in the row the Law One gathering in Berlin. And we are very happy to see you and have you with us, at least on the screen. How is Kentucky at the moment?
Uh, Kentucky's getting some cooler weather. We're down in the 70s. We spent most of the summer in the 80s and 90s. We've had plenty of rain in the last week. It kind of comes and goes. So every now and then I have to water my flowers. But right now, the ground is nice and soaked with water. So things are doing well.
Thank you very much, Jim. So we will have, when somebody has a question for Jim, just raise your hand. I would say you come in front so Jim can hear you directly. You sit just here. Anyone wants to start?
No, we just.
Oh, yeah. Just sit here. Introduce yourselves more.
Hello, Jim. My name is Maya.
Hiya, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much for being here on the screen. So I'm a physics student from Germany. And for me, spirituality and science are basically describing the same thing. They're just approaching it from opposite direction. And it's very interesting for me to find these points of intersection. And I would like to know, like, in what fields of science do you think spirituality can be touched? And on the other hand, in what area of spirituality do you think science can be applied?
That's a pretty tough question. Because I'm not that much of a scientist. Don was a scientist. He was a physics professor. And he got into physics to try to figure out if there was a way that science could explain to him the meaning of UFOs. Because when he was just 17 years old, he had that experience with Tal Mantell in Louisville, where there was a sighting of a UFO somewhere in around Western Kentucky. And so they had Captain Mantell check it out. The Godman Tower at Frankfort, Kentucky said there's some strange object in the air. So he went over there to do that. And when he got there, he said, well, it's a metal craft. It's about 300 feet in diameter. Looks like an upside down ice cream cone. And he said, I'm going to try to get closer to get a better look. And as soon as he said that, the UFO went straight up. And he tried to follow it. And of course, he didn't have oxygen in those days. It was a World War II fighter plane. And he passed out and crashed, and he was killed. And Don knew Captain Mantell. So at the age of 17, I think that was probably the beginning of a spiritual journey. So he went into science. He got the degrees in mechanical engineering and in engineering to try to figure out if there was a way to explain that. But eventually he decided that there was another way to do things. So he went into what you would call the experimenting with the paranormal and doing age regressions on people to go back to see where they were before they got here, how the choices that they made to be here. And so that began his spiritual journey of just doing regressions and discovering that people make choices. They come back through the veil of forgetting that we have between our conscious and subconscious minds, and attempt to learn something here, more from intuition or the feeling of the heart, because what they see here doesn't match at all what is on the other side of the veil, because there everything is seen as the creator, everything is one. So that was the way Don traveled his path. Now, how a person could go from a spiritual journey to a scientific journey, I think that's just a matter of free choice. I mean, I think you can take whatever you've learned in your spiritual path, whatever the source has been that has inspired you and spoken to your heart, then you can use your intuition, the intuition of the heart, to decide, well, what speaks to me? What can I do to get a more logical understanding, as much as logic can do to explain that which is unexplainable? I mean, we can explain a lot, attempt to explain a lot about our spiritual journey, but so much of it is, shrouded in mystery. And that's what makes it such a joy and an accomplishment to penetrate that mystery and to go further and further along the spiritual path. So I think it's just a matter of free will after you've decided what, science has spoken to you a certain way, then you make your choice.
Answer your question?
Yes.
Do you have any follow-up question?
Yeah, maybe I would like to know, do you think it's worth, I mean, basically you just said it, but do you think it's worth to put research on maybe with crystals or pyramids, because this was something that was especially mentioned in the Law of One? And yeah.
Well, I think that would be helpful, because crystals can be used to do various things. Charging crystals, a healer can use those to bring the love and the light of the Creator through the crystal and help healing those who request the healing when it has been requested. And so I think that, that has value for sure.
Okay, I agree. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your questions.
Jochen has a question.
Hello, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Oh, Jochen, how you doing?
Nice to see you. I felt really inspired by this question because I remember something that I was also wondering a lot about, and maybe you have some more insights on this. Because in the Ra contact, Ra mentions at some point that Don's engineering studies would help him in his meditative visualizations. And why was this possibly strange to me? Because I came more from a meditative style with incense, and where you may imagine maybe a beam of light or something more not so concrete like you would think an engineer would visualize or send energy in his meditations. And I wondered if you have kind of gotten a perspective on how this could be meant, or how Don would maybe practice his meditations in this engineering spirit, or if you yourself feel that in our meditations it could be very helpful to think or visualize in a more mechanical way, so to say, even if that sounds cold now. But maybe that is something that we are allowed or should even use.
Well, Don, being a mechanical engineer, and his training to become a mechanical engineer, used those visualizations to draw things, material things. And Raj just happened to mention that his ability to do that in his mind would be a way that he could go to visualize in his meditations. So I think if you have that talent to do that, you could do the same thing. But again, I think that it's probably the most important thing is whatever speaks to you, to your heart, whatever kind of visualization you want to use, and what it is you want to do. I think, again, the intuition of your heart is probably the best way to discover either what your higher self has in mind for you, what you planned before the incarnation, or what the Creator would like to have you do. Asking the Creator, what should I do? And then meditate and see what kind of an answer you get. I think we're all individual seekers of truth. And there are general categories of ways of approaching this seeking, whether it's mechanical engineering or the spiritual path or being a teacher in school with kids. Whatever is that feels the best to you intuitively, I think that's the way you should go. And I think you can find that out in meditation and ask, because that still small voice that we discover in meditation is the Creator. The Creator's with us at all times. And if we really ask, we're very likely to get a reply.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jochen.
Thank you, Jim.
It's good to see you.
Inside, please.
This chair?
Anyone.
Any chair. Hi, my name is Lindsay. Okay, this is emerging, so I don't have the question perfect just yet. So I've been thinking a lot about how in a bunch of ancient esoteric traditions, you're meant to be very careful about what you write down if you write down anything, because the moment something is, sort of committed to being in written form, it's more available for, let's say, distortion or abuse or misuse. And obviously, that's a risk worth taking for lots of reasons. But I wonder if you have any thoughts about, like, I guess the best way to go about it, Is there some sort of protective ritual you can put around the writing itself? Or, yeah, so along those lines, is that making sense?
Well, let me ask you,
Yeah.
you're asking about what you could do if you want to write about a certain topic, a spiritual topic, or are you talking about automatic writing where it comes through you without you thinking about it?
No, I'm not thinking of any kind of particular writing style or writing topic or even my own writing, but just in general, like how did you handle this? The fact that you're offering this immensely valuable wisdom that could be misused, right? That could be used to possibly harm people, because all wisdom, everything has that double-edged quality. Did you all grapple with this? Do you grapple with it now? Does that make more sense?
Well, I think I get more of what you're saying. During the raw contact, we realized that words were a sort of a distortion of truth, but they're really all we have to use in order to communicate what we have discovered in our own lives and through the raw contact in order to share it with others. So we have to settle for the words. I have to say, though, that Rob probably used words more specifically and precisely than any source that I've been familiar with. There may be others that are more understandable to other people.
Yeah.
But I think that, we have to deal with what we've got, the nature of our reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that we communicate with others with words. When we're beyond the veil, on the other side of the veil, I think that telepathically, that's probably the very best way to communicate. I mean, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and if you could send a picture of communication, there you go. It's really, it says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we just have to deal with words and try the best we can to inculcate them with the feelings of our heart.
Yeah.
And again, I keep coming back to the heart, because we're here in this third density illusion to open our hearts in love and service to everyone, seeing the Creator everywhere. So I think that that's just something we have to deal with. And, in the third density, it's a very confusing place.
No
all by
kidding.
itself, and words can confuse, but I think here words can be helpful and can translate and transfer meanings to another person in a better way than any other way I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your question.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Lisa.
Hi, Jim.
Hello.
My
Superlative conspiracy. That's interesting.
So I just had this question spontaneously, like listening to you speaking about the open heart. Would you say, especially in this confusing world, when opening the heart, is it also kind of necessary to also protect it, or is that like more overthinking?
Well, I think the opening the heart is something that is a protection in itself. You're opening the heart to the Creator's love to flow through you, not just from you. So when your heart is open, you see the Creator all around you, and you want to be of more service to the Creator that exists in every other person and their heart as well. So when we open our heart, we are doing the best we can to be of service, which is also a way of protecting ourselves, but we're not trying to protect ourselves. That's the way it is when the Creator's love flows through you and through the actions that you do to be of service to others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Hi, Jim. I'm Stefan.
Stefan, good to see
Pleased to talk with you. And my question concerns the pyramids. So I know that Ra said that the original purposes of the pyramids are already not applicable anymore, but it can still be used today for meditation and energizing. And I know that you and Don had been exploring building some pyramids and using them for your personal use. And I was wondering what kind of personal experience you, Carla, and Don may have, extracted from the use of those pyramids. Did you benefit from them in any ways? Did you find in the past or today current applications that you might perhaps suggest to other people? And considering the guidelines, the safety guidelines that Ra talked about.
Well, when we were using pyramids during the raw contact, we were using one that was out in the yard in front of the house that I built. And in general, I would say that the benefit that we realized from that, meditating within that pyramid, was to make it easier to focus the attention, that the scattering thoughts and images that usually come through our minds when we attempt to meditate didn't appear so often. And that was a good kind of filter. The pyramid kind of filtered them out. I've also used pyramids throughout the years. Before I got up in the morning, put one under my pillow and to sleep on it. Not sleep on it, just you're not supposed to use them more than 30 minutes. I wouldn't want to sleep on it. But just before I get out of sleep, I would do that and get out of bed. But I haven't done that anymore because my meditative practice has been something that has been evolving over the years. And I don't feel that the pyramid is something I need to use anymore, but I think that it can be very helpful for anybody who wants to use it, especially if you believe that it can help you, because I think that's part of the help that it gets. If you open yourself to the power of the pyramid, then that is something that you can use to deepen your meditation and again to make contact with the creator, that still small voice within. Okay. So I recommend it again. Use your own intuition as to what you think is best for you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefan.
Yeah, okay. Anyone? Yes, no, come. Then Matthias.
Hi, Jim. Happy to see you.
You look familiar.
I'm Narek. I'm Narek. We met a few times. Yeah. Last time you mentioned that you have been improving your meditation over the years. And I remember from QO that meditation is just you sit and you do nothing. And then something comes up, you let that go too. And then again, you just sit and do nothing. I was wondering, how do you improve on that, sitting and doing nothing?
I think you just keep doing it. I think the old saying is practice makes perfect. I think the intention is really the most important part of meditating and trying to make contact with the creator or to get some type of inspiration for your day. I think meditation can be used in a number of ways to contact not only the creator, but deeper portions of yourself and your guidance system. And I think maybe the most important thing I would say, and it's just my opinion, I can be wrong. I've been wrong a few times before. Set the intention, what you want to do, and then do your best to do it. That's the way we live our life, actually. As being spiritual seekers of truth, we try our best to do that, to seek the truth, to discern what the truth is, and to share it with others. But many times we fall short because this is the density of the illusion of the infinite creator. And so I think the attempt and the constant practice is what's most important. That's a spiritual journey.
Can you share, how does your meditation look like?
Well, my meditation probably sounds a little goofy, but I have gotten internal guidance that suggests that if I can feel the presence of the creator in my meditation, that I can inhale that presence and hold my breath to solidify or confirm that presence, and then release my breath and hold it again on the outtake. So that I'm doing what some people call square breathing. And it is something that has just spoken to me, that I use it a few times during the day to feel the presence of the creator. And the way that manifests for me is that frontal lobes experience that was mentioned in the raw contact, where my indigo ray energy center was activated. So the meditation of the holding the breath and then exhaling, holding the breath, inhaling, and so forth, activates that feeling, so that I feel that that is sort of like the creator there speaking to me, but not using words. And I don't know if that would work for anybody else. It's just what my guidance suggested.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your question.
Okay. Jim, I think you know this guy.
Hi, Jim.
Hello.
You remember?
You wrote the books. I'm trying to remember. I remember what you did more than your name, but yeah.
Yes.
Tell me your name again so my mind doesn't go crazy.
Yeah, right. Volume 3 right now. Maybe I finish this year. Matthias.
Yes, Matthias.
Yes. And I have a million questions, but I try to reduce it to two. The first is about the nature of channeling. In the very beginning of the raw contact, you asked which people move to fourth density negative, which in my opinion is a very specific question. And Ra answered, it was Genghis Khan, Rasputin, and Taras Bulba. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is Ra's way of saying don't ask so specific. Or is there a deeper sense behind these names?
Well, I think you're probably correct about that being too specific a question. We made a lot of false starts and asked questions that were inappropriate, but it took us a while to figure that out, because Ross said that we always had the right to make our own choices as to the questions. But as to those entities, Rasputin and Genghis Khan were actually historical figures, and we know about them. Taras Bulba is another case.
Yes.
You can search all throughout history and you don't find any Taras Bulba around. So I don't know if that was a way of them telling us you're asking the wrong kind of question. I have no idea why we got that answer. But yeah, I think a number of times we asked questions that we shouldn't have asked, but it's a trial and error. It took us a while to figure out that we were having sessions too often. The first few weeks we had 2 sessions a day, and the first year we got 75 sessions completed, and that wasn't a wise thing to do. It was too hard on Carla. And so the second year we had 25 sessions, which probably was the way we should have started to begin with. But Don looked at the raw contact, I think is what he called the charge of the light brigade. It was kind of the battle against the negative forces or something, and he wanted to win that battle. So we live and learn.
Yes, and that brings me to the second part of the question. Why did he mention Taras Bulba? I wonder if some of you read Nicole Gogol around this time?
No, it's a puzzle to me, because Taras Bulba doesn't seem to have actually existed.
Yes.
Although we did have a question in one of our close channelings that the answer was something to the effect that Taurus Boba might have been an entity that was using that name, a negative entity, using that name that it made up. That's the best I can remember the answer, but I have no idea if that's correct either.
Okay. So may I ask a second question?
Sure.
When the creator moved from second density to third density on this planet, there was some influence by entities called guardians. And in many traditions, like most popular, the Sumerian myths, they talk about Anunnaki or something. So the ancient aliens intervention, what is very popular today. And also when we are on the verge to the fourth density, some people claim there are abductions where aliens do genetic experiments and maybe do some adaptations for fourth density bodies. I just want to hear your opinion on that. It's not a question in this way.
I have no idea if anything like that's going on. I mean, you hear all kinds of what they're generally called conspiracy theories about what can happen. I think that if your heart is pure and you want to serve others and you do your best to do that, all is well. When you leave this incarnation, you drop your body and walk into the light, that you have those that are there to protect you. There are guardians there. These are guardians that DeRoss spoke of from the Council of Saturn. And if you happen to make a misstep and trip or something, that they put you back on the path and to see if you're ready for fourth density. I think it is a protected process. And I don't think there's anything that can happen to you when you drop your body and walk into the light.
Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Matthias. It's good to see you again. It's been a while.
Hi, Jim. I'm Kerstin, and I have a
Catherine?
question. Kerstin.
Oh, Cassie. Okay.
I have a question of my boyfriend. He is staying at home, and he asked me to ask you if there are people, humans in this 3D illusion which have lost their souls or their spiritual complex. Because he asked me because of the horrible things which people do sometimes in this illusion.
Now, say that again. Are there people here who have done something that is so horrendous they've lost their soul? Is that it?
Yeah, can a human can lose his soul or his spiritual complex when he shows for the negative way?
Well, I don't believe that's possible. That's just my opinion, because everything that happens within this third density illusion offers us a chance to grow. Even the horrendous things like the wars that are going on now around the world, the terrible kinds of earthquakes, and the Helena, the hurricane that just hit the southeast United States. Everything offers us a chance to help. I know that we have some friends in Asheville. The whole city almost has been destroyed, but that has brought out people to help each other and to recover from that. And all kinds of others, the National Guard is there, various service groups that come to areas like that. And it tends to give you the feeling that we are all one, working together under very difficult circumstances. These are the most difficult, the wars and the hurricanes, but other things that happen in our life too, when we have misunderstandings with friends or neighbors, or any kind of problem that can come up between us and another person, or for ourselves. That we have problems, we can't figure out what to do, we feel we're lost and where do I go? Everything has a chance to teach us. And I think that we can use it all as catalyst, and process the catalyst so that we see that whatever we've experienced or seen another experienced has a purpose in the putting together of the puzzle of humanity. All of the people here, if we could work together and use all the difficulties there are in almost every country in the world, then there is enough catalyst there that this entire planetary population could make the graduation to fourth density. Now, Ross suggested there's probably not going to be a real, large harvest, because the difficulty, we have a lot of people here from other planets, the third density, that didn't make the harvest, and they're trying again here. And so, but they did say, could your population polarize positively in one fine, strong moment of inspiration? Yes, my friends, it is not probable, but it is ever possible. So I think we have to remember that and just keep moving forward to the best of our ability, one step at a time, and process the catalyst and do the best we can to open our hearts to others around us. And together, we can find the solution. And whether there's a large or small number of people working together, a spiritual seeker is a way to seed the planet with the light and love of the one infinite creator. And so we can all be a part of the solution by using the problem and processing it.
Okay, it's not easy sometimes.
No, third density is not easy at all.
Thank you.
That's what makes it such a joy and an accomplishment if we can find open hearts here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
Anyone else have a question? You want to ask the second question or the fourth? Yeah.
Well, if there is no one, I can. Hi, Jim. Stefan again.
Good to see you again.
To see you. And you mentioned earlier activation of your Indigo Center. And I have watched some of your conversations online where you share your experience when you have your first activation before you actually joined Carla and John and Don. Would you mind sharing some of your personal experience from your first activation and perhaps reactivations over the course of your life? How did it manifest physically in terms of sensations in your body? And how did it affect your experience of reality before and after activations or reactivations?
Well, the experience in the body is something I don't know if it's, I guess it has a spiritual aspect to it. But whenever I would have an orgasm, I would also have an orgasm in my brain. And I think that was something that was very helpful during the raw contact, because when Carla and I had a sexual energy exchange the night before, and we dedicated it to the service of the Creator, then that transfer of energy allowed the strength of the contact with Rose of Ra to be increased. So the sessions would be longer. And it took us a while to figure that out. So I think that was probably the greatest spiritual result of the activation of the Indigo Ray Energy Center for me. And that's basically it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Hi, Jim. My name is Daniel.
Oh, Daniel, I've never met you before. I'm glad to meet you for the first time.
So I have actually a personal question. I would like to know how you handle personally an intense time of catalyst. Let's assume we have not overcome one catalyst and the next one is coming. Example given, it might be a hurricane during the homecoming or something like that.
Oh. I think that whenever we have catalyst that's difficult, we need to work with it on a personal level and to take it into our meditations and to use it the way that Ross suggested, to experience it again there and to become very familiar with it by enhancing its power and its manifestation. And then just for a moment, feeling the opposite, say, if it was anger, then just feel acceptance or love and let it grow within us. This is a process that Ross suggested to help us use all the catalysts to see that it is a way to accept ourselves and to accept others that might have been part of a difficulty, and to become more of what Ra called a 360-degree being. Because the Creator of intelligent infinity, the some call it God or the Spirit, or I'll just simply call it the one infinite creator, is within everyone and has all those experiences as a way of knowing itself. So it is a 360-degree being. And we can use our experiences in this little 75,000 years major cycle or master cycle to try to become more of that in our minds. And that will allow us then to gain another aspect of ourself. Every time we do that, we get closer and closer to 360 degrees. So by knowing ourselves in that way, then we eventually do become the creator. But it might take a few incarnations, but that would be my suggestion.
Thank you very much. It's a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Anyone else? Joe, you have a question?
Joe, do you have a question?
Yeah, no, no, I don't really. Although actually, there is something I guess I'd like to ask you, Jim. I'd always been under the impression that you should love yourself as well as loving others, obviously, and that you should love yourself first and then love others. But I read something recently in a book which said you should love others first. And I wondered if it's actually possible to love others but not love yourself.
I would go to the quote from Jesus in the Bible, love your neighbor as yourself. And that means to me, you have to be able to love yourself first before you can love anyone else. And I don't believe it's a selfish thing. It's something that builds a foundation to love and accept yourself. If you don't love and accept yourself, then how can you really love and accept other people? That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
No, I go with that. So I'll stay with that one. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello, the two of you. Jim, actually, we have a participant over there from Prague, you may know, and he wanted to know how are your cats doing?
Who asked about my cats?
Vojta?
Oh, Vojta. Okay. Well, the news isn't good. And I'm sorry to have to say that. The feral cat upstairs, Benny, has heart failure. And I'm giving her medications for it, and she's taking them and she's eating, which is a good thing. Bosco, who's sitting over there on my couch, he's got a lot of problems. He already had diabetes when I got him, and stomatitis, which means he has no teeth. But now he has congestive heart failure, and he had a cancerous growth removed from his mouth, and he's got cancer in his kidneys as well. So I have a lot of medications, I'm supposed to be giving him. I'm trying to give him the medications. He's very picky about the food he eats nowadays. And he used to be an 18-pound cat, and 19 years old, 18 pounds, very strong. But he's lost 4 pounds in the last month or so. So I'm just trying to get him to eat his food. And so far, I've been able to do that. He has to eat food before I can give him his insulin injections. So in general, even though he has all of these diseases, almost more than I can remember, he's doing well. He's a sweet cat. He likes to spend, well, he's over there. Usually when I meditate or I eat my lunch or dinner or breakfast, the couch there where Carla and I used to sit together, he sits where Carla used to be, and I sit where I always did. Or if I'm in my room working on my computer, my room is also my office, my bedroom. He's right down there on the floor at my feet, and I pet him and he purrs. So we're hoping that we can give him. I'm hoping that I could give him enough time to become a third density being. And so that's the story of the cats.
Okay. And now, like, I was just wondering if now you're seeing us here, like, not close to you, but somehow close to you. And this is the third time we are like offering this thing in Berlin. But you have experienced like the process that LLM research has been doing with the gatherings, with the homecomings. And maybe you can give us a briefly opinion and overview of how you have perceived this process. If you maybe can talk about the first one you started till the last one you were attending, and also how that's for you in this case, like you were being somehow a little bit far away from us, but though participating online do like thanks technology, which nowadays help us a lot to communicate. So do you mind to
So you just want me a general synopsis or outline of the homecomings and
yes,
when we started and things?
yes,
Okay. Well, I believe our first one, if I remember correctly, was in 1995. And it was Carla's idea to allow seekers of truth that she'd been communicating with around the country, if they had an opportunity to come here, to share their spiritual journeys with the other folks that were here. Because most of the people at that time, and I think it's still the case for a lot of people, they didn't have anybody to talk to about their spiritual journey. And if they tried to talk to somebody about their spiritual journey who didn't have any concept of what your spiritual journey is, they thought they were crazy. So by coming here and having a homecoming, they were coming to the home of the heart, where they could share whatever they want to about their spiritual journey, and nobody would think they were crazy, because the seekers of like mind who together seek shall far more surely find, is what Ross suggested. So that was the whole impetus for starting the homecomings. And over the years, I think that Gary and Trish and Austin would validate this, that the homecomings have become more and more open-hearted and inspiring. And so much so that they began having them on the West Coast in Seattle and the East Coast in Philadelphia, and over in Europe, the gatherings that you've had in Prague, now in Berlin, just a way of spreading the word, of having seekers get together and share what is the most important thing in their spiritual journey. I think a lot of times the round robins that are held at our, not just at our homecomings, but our public channeling meditations, are an opportunity for people to share just exactly what I've been talking about there. And that's why they're doing it. That really is something I think that for our public channeling meditations, gives us a way of making a bond between each other, a framework of love, open-hearted love that those of Quo can use to speak answers to questions. So I think that the gatherings over the years have just become better and better. There are more and more people that want to take part in them. And in fact, so many more want to be here in, actually, it's Anchorage, Kentucky, but Louisville, Kentucky surrounds it. So we're trying to find another venue that can hold more people, because we can only hold 40 people here. And there's so many more on the wait list that we need a larger venue, which is actually good news, because that's that's more people who want to be co-share the open heart. And so, do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I also ask you, how do you feel to somehow also being able to host that, like in your nowadays, like online?
Whether it's online or in person, I especially like the in person. I like, to be around the people that are here and have them share the beauty of the yard and garden and the beauty of this house. It's an honor. It's a great honor. It's what Carl and I always felt that we were here to do, wherever we happen to live. I've been here for over 40 years now, and that was the place that people needed to gather. It was the purpose of being in the place. It's not just for us, it's for everybody who wants to be here and who can be here.
Okay, thank you. And maybe the last question, I don't know, I think I did not hear it, but how are you today? Like, how is everything like over there?
I'm doing well. Every day I feel like it's the best day in the world. I have my routine. I get up early in the morning and meditate, and then I take care of my kitty cats, and then I meditate again. Then I work on the Camelot journal entry, and then I go outside and do some work in the gardens, and then I have lunch, and then I meditate again, and then I probably usually I have some errands I need to run, and so get some food for me and for the cats. And in the afternoon, I post my Camelot journal entry and begin another one. So my life has got a rhythm to it. I think that's why cats like me so much, and why I like cats. But cats are very ritualistic themselves, and I think they're also natural meditators. That's just my opinion. So my life is it's more than I ever hoped or thought it could possibly be, and it's gatherings like this, whether it's online or in person, that really inspire me, because I am living and alive to share the law of one with anybody who wants to ask me a question. But I always let them know I could be wrong, but I will share from my heart whenever I try to give an answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have a question? And then we want to.
A quick one.
Quick one.
Hi, Jim. A quick question. First of all, thank you for all your work, and thank you for all your contributions. And I'm just interested whether you are planning to join in the future in one of these Europe gatherings. I remember we met in 2019 in Prague. It was wonderful to have you there.
Well, I really enjoyed the meeting in Prague. And over the years, I've traveled to various places, and I've enjoyed meeting people. Austin and I went to New Zealand in 2019, and met a lot of people. There were 5,000 people at the Lumina Festival. And it's been a joy. But in the later years of my life, I've kind of lost the interest in traveling. Although there can be certain instances in which I might consider traveling, and I'm having to think it over again. Right now, because I have cats that have so many problems, there's no way I can travel, because they just have too many medications and things. But I'm reconsidering the possibility, so it might happen.
Thank you so much. All the best to them. I know a fellow cat owner also, so. Interesting.
Okay. Hello, Jim. Yeah, Gary shared his presentation on the narrowband channel, which was very moving. And in the video that he presented, you said that it got easier and easier for you to see the creator in other selves. And I was just wondering, how did you develop that? And like when you see someone who's being an asshole, for instance, like, do you say, okay, that's the creator manifesting an asshole? Or do you say, right, that asshole is not part of the creator, it's just that individual not being creator-like? Like, what's the process there?
Over the years, I have looked at everything that's happening in the news, my friends and neighbors in this area where I live, and have seen so many different kinds of ways to live the life. And it just has spoken to me to see how many ways the Creator has of knowing itself. Every way that everybody lives a life, whether it's as an asshole and a beautiful soul, these are all aspects of that Creator that is a jewel of infinite facets. And if you feel that this just too much to accept, then you just have to look a little harder, look within yourself to see where you might have something that's not quite the way you'd like it to be, and to realize that we always fall short of our desires, our ultimate pre-incarnative desires. And the way that we live our life in the incarnation doesn't always match the way we hoped it would before we chose to come into this incarnation. But it's a path that leads down the road forever and ever. And that is a path through all of the densities. And here in this third density, we have the chance to travel the most difficult part of that path. the part of the path where we make the choice eventually, however many times we have to repeat third density, to open our hearts in love and acceptance of others at least 51% of the time. And there is enough time within all of the creation for everyone to do this, no matter how much of an asshole they were, in how many incarnations. It will eventually happen. That's the creator moving back into unity with itself. And the more of an asshole you were, the longer your journey and the more you learned. So I think in the end, all is well.
I've got so many questions. I don't want to dot one more. Okay. Yeah. My next question is about solitude and your love of solitude. But from reading the Camelot Journal, you know, there's a lot that occupies your day, and I like my solitude too. And but then having young children, I have a lot of interaction with people, and I sometimes find myself feeling a bit resentful when there's something that needs to be done that requires me to leave the house, or, you know, if I even have to interact with people, even though it might be a nice interaction, I'm like, oh, you know, like I feel like I can't get enough time on my own. But then at the same time, I feel selfish wanting that. So how have you sort of come to terms or find solitude or that space and that silence despite having to interact with the world?
Well, to me, I just go with the flow. You know, the things that need to be done need to be done. Maybe some of them aren't as much fun as others, but I think it's all part of the puzzle of the life, you know, and I think they all presents us a chance to put the puzzle together and to do it with as much love as possible. You know, third density, like we said before, it's not an easy place to be, but because it is difficult, we can learn a whole lot more and we can get a lot stronger. Change is difficult, but as they say in the athletic world, no pain, no gain. If you're lifting weights, you know, you got to go past the failure point. And so it's just a process of living the life the best way you know how. And if you feel some sort of resentment about having to do one thing or another, well, feel the resentment and accept yourself for that resentment and see if you can use it as a way of learning more about yourself in your meditation. And maybe as time goes on, as you continue to do those things, that you can find more love for doing them, because eventually the road leads back home and you can do what you want to do. Everything's okay as far as the creator is concerned. It's all ways of the creator knowing itself. And so you get to know yourself more about what you like to do, what you don't like to do, and accept yourself and become the creator.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good final statement, I think, because we're running out of time.
Final statement, okay.
Go on.
Hi, Jim. I'm Shauna.
Shauna, glad to meet you.
Thank you. Likewise. I just wanted to let you know that I'm listening to your books on tape, and I love your voice, and thank you so much for creating them, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to enjoy this material.
Well, thank you.
I have impairment with my eyes, temporarily, I hope, but ever since I discovered this material, I have had eye problems, vision problems, and several surgeries and that kind of thing. So just hearing your voice and seeing you today is very moving for me. And I just want to tell you, I'm very grateful to you for creating those audiobooks.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's been an honor to be able to do so and to share everything that Carla wrote as a book or channeled, and to be able to share it with the world, because that seems to be a way that most people today do gain information. They can do that whether driving a car or taking a walk in the neighborhood, where, you know, book reading has to be done pretty much at home. So I think the audiobooks are really a great way to do that. And that's really a great honor for me to be able to do that. And I think of Carla every time that I have done one of her books, and Don. I feel like they were with me when I recorded the Raw Contact.
Your voice, I find it very soothing. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
So, thank you very much, Jim, for being a part of this gathering once again. And just I'll just say goodbye to you.
Or do you want to say to us goodbye and maybe to close today the chat with some words?
Well, let's say this is not exactly goodbye. It's I'll see you next time.
Yes.
Because I always appreciate seekers of truth that come together with open hearts and have their questions that come from their open hearts. Because those are the kind of questions that inspire me to get my heart even more open. And sharing that open heart together with each other is something that will bind us together forever. We may not see each other in person or even in a video, but our hearts will always be open to each other. And we will carry that love with us wherever we go. We all have love to share. And I thank you for your love. And I hope that I've been able to share my love with you today, that you can take with you wherever you go. Until we meet again. I love you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Me too.
Yeah.